brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we're going to face the east towards Jerusalem, where our temple was and where our temple in Hamashiach shall return. Abba Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we humbly come before you once again, Yah, on your third day of the week, Yah. We thank you for a peaceful Shabbat, Yah. We thank you for allowing us to just make it to another day, Yah. For we are faced with so many challenges day in and day out. But despite these challenges, Yah, we do see the blessings, Yah, that you're pouring out on us, Yah, the protection and the mercy that you're giving us. And we want to just say thank you before we ask for anything, Yah. And while we thank you, Yah, we gather today and we ask humbly that you allow your spirit to reside with us, your spirit of understanding and humility, for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding sake, Yah, not for puffed up sake or for competition, but so that we can apply these things in our lives for this dispensation in this time, Yah. And we ask humbly to please forgive us of our sins and trespasses, Yah. Make it clear to us our mistakes and help us, reinforce us, Yah, and encourage us to continue walking down the narrow path despite all the kickback that we deal with, Yah. Yah, humbly we come before you. Ask these things through your holy, humble, anointed Son, the Savior word of Yah. Through your Son, Christ, Yahweh Shai, we thank and pray. To you, Yahweh alone, do we pray. Amen. Amen. You could probably crack that door a little bit. Let some of that Frankenmur out. Oh. Shalom. My name is YAH Yasharal. My brother Kessel Yasharal. Shalom. Shalom. And we are Savior Word of Yah, or YAH, Savior Word of Yah, Tabernacle of the Congregation of Yisrael. I am the Savior Word of Yah, because I am is YAH, and YAH is only two people came in that name. Moses came in the name of YAH, which is Exodus 3 and 14. And he said, I will send another like unto you. And that was Christ. In the Hebrew, that is saying, I am he who exists. That's not something that we would say. That's something that the Father would say. So the only people that are able to really speak in that regard is the Father and the Son. And of course, Moses, who was made like a God unto the people. No other prophet came in that name. They all came in the name Yahweh. So the title of today's class today, and it was kind of a one-off, but the title of our class today is called Righteous Boundaries and Order. Righteous Boundaries and Order. This was inspired by one of our sisters, a married sister. Shabbat Shalom, or Shalom, Brother Lucas. Good to see you, family. And Sister Stephanie Hicks, who inspired this class to talk about righteous boundaries and order. This is something, that we deal with in the world where, we're trying to be set apart, and you have, the world operating as the world operates. But we, as the example, with our wisdom, have to understand the righteous boundaries that need to be in place. In a system that has no boundaries, that you can do whatever. You can crawl, you can decide you want to be a man or a woman, then how are you going to have male and female boundaries if you can just decide to be whatever you want? If you can just walk in any bathroom you want because you say you this or that, there's no boundaries. So how do we operate in a world like that? We have to create the boundaries. We have to set the boundaries, and we have to be aware of the boundaries and not let society tell you, oh, that's patriarchy, which every time they use that, that's a white European perspective, or that's controlling, or this. No, it's protection. There's a reason why the man is muscular and strong and the woman is softer and to be protected. It's for a reason. So that's why boundaries were set. Just like your skin has boundaries, your flesh has, everything has boundaries to prevent things. Even the sea has boundaries where it can't go past a certain place. So We're going to get into that. Let's get the heavenly order. Let's open up first in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. And a lot of this is cultural. And we have to decide what culture we want. We want a righteous culture, or we want the worldly culture, the culture of this world that's running things. And again, this is an open forum, so if anybody has any questions or comments, or if you're running into anything strange and want us to address it pertaining to the word, let us know. First Corinthians chapter 11. And we're going to start there at verse 1.
Be you followers of me, even as I am also of Christ. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you.
Okay, so he's not saying follow me, just like the same way I follow Christ, so you should follow me. That's not what he's saying. He's saying follow me the same way I'm following Christ, because I'm following his word. I'm not following a man. So do the same thing I'm doing. Follow Christ.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
All right, and when you look at that Greek word, it literally says every man. All right, so that's important. The head of every man, not the head of some men, the men of Yisrael. No, the head of every man is Christ. That's important. They put that Greek word every there for a reason. Go ahead.
And the head of the woman is the man.
Okay, the head of the woman is Ish. Her man, her husband. It's not saying the head of every woman is every man. It didn't say that. But it makes sure to say the head of every man is Christ. So it's just letting you know in order. Don't mean a man can just walk up to any woman and start bossing her around. That's not there's no order in that. That's not how it operates. Now she's supposed to carry herself in the proper order, not carry and walk around like she's the head of a household. But she does not have to yield to every man that comes around. She needs to yield to her father if she's in her father's house, or her husband, or if she's a single woman, Christ. That's who she's supposed to submit to.
And the head of Christ is Elohim. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head.
All right, so let's break that down. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head fully covered. So what that means is when you got those Rasta coverings, perfect example, Rastas wrap up their whole head and they tie up their hair in there. That's having your hair covered fully, having your head covered fully. That's not how it was supposed to be. That is for the high priest to have his head covered fully, because the high priest is acting he's acting representing the children of Yisrael, being like married unto Christ. So that's why married unto Yah. That's why his head will be covered fully, just like we about to read how the woman's head is supposed to be covered fully.
Verse 5 in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. But every woman that prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven.
All right, so every woman that prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. So who is this woman's head?
The man.
The man, not any man, but the man in her life, whether it's her father, her husband, her older brother, her, the patriarchs in her family, the grandfather, somebody in her family, or if not that, it's the priest or Yahweh Shai of her assembly.
Okay.
And that's being head as far as being an authority for her, being a protector for her. If she's a grown adult, it doesn't mean that person's telling her what to do. It's to protect her.
Verse 6.
And this is talking about the woman, verse 5, having her head shaven. So even if she shaves her head bald, she's still dishonoring her head.
Verse 6. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of Elohim, but the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man.
All right, so when it talks about here, for the man indeed ought not to cover his head. When it says that, if you look at that word, it's katalupto, which means to cover his head fully. Again, this is not fully, this is circumferential. My head ain't full. You can still see my hair. When you cover everything and cover up the whole head and wrap it like turbans like that, that is for the high priest and for the kings. That's not for a regular man to wear, because we are standing in the stead. We are like God to our wives and our children, and God in the sense of mighty ones, the mighty one, the heavenly power in that house. This is why he said, husbands, wives, honor your husbands as unto the Lord, as unto Yah, as unto the Most High. It don't mean worship that man. It means have him be a covering and respect the authority of that man. That's what that means. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're supposed to sit down and bow down and worship him and pray to this man. No, that's not what that means. He's representing the Most High in your house. That's why women have to make sure you're picking a godly man, a man who's going to try to order his house according to this word. So you're not submitting to some craziness.
Verse 8. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels.
So why do you think she needs to have a covering on her head because of the angels? Why is she different? Why she, covering is a protection. Why she need a protection on her head?
Is she more open to influence from the angels?
Absolutely. Because of the angels. Because it was the angel that caused, said, which we'll read later, it was the angel of the adversary, the devil, that tricked her and caused her to fall. So that head covering is supposed to represent she has a covering. She has a man in her life that you got to deal with before you come to her. So it just represents the order.
Verse 11. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in Yah. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of Elohim. Judging yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto Elohim uncovered?
So she praying to the Most High uncovered. Her head is completely open. You just said, like, what, you with a baby? What's the first thing you cover up on a baby?
The head.
You cover up their head. Because that's where the heat leave the baby and they can get sick and all. These are spirits. The baby is wide open. Even the baby has a hole in the top of the head. Why the baby born with a hole in the top of the head? It's literally a hole. You remember the soft spot. A little hole in there. You can literally touch it, like you put your hand, touch their brain. That's how soft it is. So it's representing of where stuff can enter in. And it's talking about angels. An angel is just a spirit. An angel ain't a flying wings gonna fly over there and grab her head. No, these spirits can enter. So it's supposed to let these angels know that this woman has a covering. And because she's being obedient to Yah by following her instructions, then guess what? The angels that do behold her face in heaven are standing here saying, nah, this obedient woman, she got a husband. She's covered. And furthermore, what's the first thing most women do to themselves to get a man's attention?
Let down their hair.
They get their hair. So that hair belongs to the husband. You ain't supposed to be showing people your hair. It's supposed to be covered. That's why when you go, all the movies in Africa, they always show the women with their heads covered. Especially the Israelite women. Because that glory, what you do in your hair to look so nice for, is to attract your husband, to have him look at you and be attractive to you. So now you're doing that and letting the world be attracted because we're being attracted to it. That's why women would do it. Women wouldn't do it if it wasn't attractive. It's like men wouldn't do things to make themselves unattractive.
Right.
Like, I'm just gonna not, I'm just gonna, not edge up, not, do nothing with my hair, just look like a big fuzzball, because that'll get them. No. But see, this culture here is about, no, the woman can do what she wants. Put her out in the front. She don't need no man. She equal. All this stuff is to destroy Israel. That's all. They teaching their family different stuff, but they put it in general public and make laws to affect you.
What's interesting is we're living in such a confused culture that when you look into the origins of why we do some of the things we do, no one even considers this stuff. Like, okay, well, why do women wear high heels, or why do women do this?
Oh my goodness!
No one looks.
Or
at
those
this.
eyelashes. Where
Right.
Where did those come from?
Right.
People are just doing it, and because that's what the culture informs them. That's what the culture tells them to do. But no one actually looks. Okay, why are people doing this? What's the reason for this? When you start looking into that, that's when people start getting offended.
Right.
It's just like wearing certain clothes. Is like, why you coming out the house butt naked?
Man.
If you got a husband, you coming out the house butt naked. It's like, there's no other reason except for to get male attention.
Right. And it's also, again, so we don't have on, some of the sisters don't feel like we're picking on them. It's also the man's responsibility not to be looking at this woman, to check this woman. Sis, what's wrong with you? How you gonna walk around here naked? How you gonna do my bro like that, bro?
Right.
Sis, nah, go. Where he at? Where your husband at?
Right.
That's how we supposed to get angry at that, but instead we like, ooh. So if we doing that, it's just as our fault as them.
True.
It's true. And I mean, when you look at it, it's absolutely right when you think about it that way, because women will just the same thing, whether it's men or women, people just do things that work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if this is getting attention, this is succeeding, then that's what women are going to do. And if men are giving that attention, you know what I'm saying? Then that's people just do things that work. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So,
and the devil, he just keep doing the same thing because it worked.
right.
So it's the same thing. So let's be circumspect. Tamshi?
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 12. For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of Elohim. These few verses should really just destroy this whole men versus woman thing that's going on in the culture right now.
It's ridiculous. The woman is of the man, but the man also by the woman. So we're not saying, hey, we don't need women.
Right.
But all things are of Yah. So if all things are of Yah, then who's making the decisions here? Man, woman, or Yah? Who making the decisions? Yah supposed to make the decisions. And man is supposed to enforce that. And the women is supposed to make it livable. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Judge in yourselves. Is it comely that a woman pray unto Elohim uncovered? Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
And this is the one that really pisses me off. Obviously, you see my hair long as ever. But reason it pisses me off is because when you look at the Greek word for hair, there's a whole different word for just speaking about hair. And there's a whole different word for a long. But then now they get a word komeo, and they say, oh, it means long hair. No, it don't. It means tresses of hair. Tresses of hair. Isn't it not comely that a man, isn't it like a shame that a man wear feminine hair? You gotta look who he's talking to. He's talking to the Corinthians. If he was talking to the Hebrews, then he'd have to address why Absalom's hair was as long as weighed almost as much as him. You ain't grow that much hair in 1 year. Stop it. So you look at Samson, you look at all the Levites, got the Nazarites. Levites can't even cut their hair on their face. And the Nazarites grow their hair. So all this Hebrew culture, nothing in the law telling you you should have short hair. But it tells you you can't shave off your head bald. But it don't tell you can't have hair to a certain length. Now, common sense tell you if I'm tripping on my hair, If I'm working and I got long hair and it's messing with my trade, then you got to do what you got to do. Or if you look like a woman from behind because your hair is so long, different story. But at the end of the day, don't let this Greek culture where you see a lot of bald men and all these people that couldn't grow hair make up these weird rules because they can't do what we do with our hair. So he's talking to the Corinthians. He would never have to tell Israelites about their hair length and all that type of stuff because we got laws pertaining to that. So he's talking to these Corinthians that were wearing wigs, the same thing you see them do in London, how they wear those wigs and all those curly things. That's what they was talking about. You look like a woman, bro. George Washington and all them weird looking people. That's what they talking about. Does not nature say that's a woman look like this? This is like if a woman put on a mustache on her face. Be like, does not nature tell you, bro, you got a whole goatee and connects to your sideburns, bro, that's not feminine? But that's the first thing people do, and I guarantee anybody who want to come talk to you about hair length, tell them to take off their hat. You're going to see a big spot right there. And then now they want to talk about people's hair.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 15. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given for her for a covering. But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of Elohim.
Let me look at 15 real quick. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 15. I wanted to see something real quick that I just noticed. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, what did I say, 15?
Yeah.
All right, so it says, but it is glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering. So it's given to her as a veil or a vesture. All right, so it's to cover her head. Her hair is literally given to her to cover up her head so that these angels are not tricking her and causing her to make mistakes. Because you can see in dealing with our women, a lot of times our women can be a little emotional at times. And, especially around that time of the month. And if they have husbands that are valuable men that are out here serving the Most High and we getting attacked, so our women are getting attacked. They getting attacked even more than us because the devil a coward, so he going to the weaker vessel. So the Father knew that these angels from way back in Genesis, where these angels saw how beautiful our women were and went into them through the head. They didn't sleep with them. They spirits. Angels are spirits. So this is why this covering was given unto them to protect them and to protect the man, because then the man got to fight with these demons. So it's not to say that she's just this weak creature or whatever. No, it's to give her an extra layer of protection because she wasn't made to fight. She's not the warrior. She's not made to be in this war like this. She's a warrior, but she's not the warrior. She wasn't made for that.
Verse 17. Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not, that you come together not for the better, but for the worse.
All right, we can stop there. Let's move on. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2. There should be another few chapters down. 1 Timothy chapter 2. So this is why. We're just going to read 1 Timothy chapter 2, and we're going to read verses 8 through 15.
I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety.
All right, so this is how it's telling our women to address. Now, Timothy, again, just a disclaimer. This is an epistle from Paul to Timothy. Timothy is around the Gentiles because Timothy's father was a Greek. So again, he's dealing with the churches. This tends to be Gentiles with some Hebrews mixed in. So when he's dealing with Hebrews and he's dealing with Gentiles that are like us. that were raised in Gentile land, raised not in our culture. So he has to preach against a lot of different things and take away certain rights and responsibilities because you were raised around Gentiles. You don't understand the culture. So this is not necessarily supposed to be applied to the Israelite that understands, but to the new Israelite that comes in and just finds out who he is and doesn't have the culture. These are the safe rules to keep him in the proper bounds.
First Timothy chapter 2 and verse 10.
Read verse 9.
In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
All right, so they want our women adorned in modest apparel. Because our women, again, we had the most beautiful of garments. With, you know, all this gold embroidery and 12 stones and all. So it's not that he don't want us beautiful, but he didn't want that being our world. A fleshly, superficial people. And this is what would happen once we went around the Gentiles, which are vanity. It says the customs of the heathen are vain. That's Jeremiah chapter 10. So he's like, when you come around them, don't let that vanity get off on you. Because if you are modest and you come to work every day and you dress regular, and every day you go show where everybody wearing a 3-piece suit, eventually you're going to put on a suit because it's going to rub off on you. You're like, I feel out of place. Right. So he didn't want us with all that competition. And you saw how you had one brother they tried to kill their own brother because he had a fly coat. Just like he had some Jordans on. His own brothers tried to kill him. Then took the Jordans and put some blood on him. Be like, is this your son's Jordan? The size 3. It's him, my son. This is how this is how they did. So we're trying to avoid all of these things. Avoid all of these things. That just remind me of Don't Be a Menace when he picked up that little shoe. Anyway, it's to avoid that vanity. So he's saying, have modest apparel. Don't mean you have to dress like a ninja, but have modest apparel. It says shamefacedness. Don't be looking all in men's faces. Don't be giving them sexy looks and, you know, biting your lip and doing all these different things. Don't, and this goes for men too. You shouldn't be doing that to women unless you're courting that woman to marry her. You're trying to marry this woman. So these are all the things that it's saying how we're supposed to carry. Shamefacedness and sobriety. It's saying shamefacedness because this woman ain't looking easy. And sobriety, that way, it says if the woman already got to have a covering on her head because the angel's going to mess with her, how much more you think the angel's going to mess with her if she's dealing with spirits or alcohol? It's going to make it very easy for these demons to get a hold and influence her. So these things are said for protection, for your own protection.
Not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array.
All right, plaited hair, right.
But which becomes women professing godliness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence.
All right, so it says, let the woman learn in silence with all objection. Why? Because the woman just needs to shut up? No. Again, who are we dealing with here? We dealing with Israelite women and Gentiles that did not grow up in culture. They grew up scattered, just like us. That's why when we come in this word, first thing men find out is like, oh, you have multiple wives. Whoa, slow down. You ain't grow up in that culture. You need to learn how to have a righteous marriage before you even think about trying to do some advanced Hebrew stuff. So this is the problem. We find that we can do this and do that, and all of a sudden we gone with the races. So now, being that church is amongst Gentiles and it's in the house, now women have more capacity to speak and say things and interact and do different things and cause commotion. Whereas in the temple, if we were in Israel, it wouldn't be that way. Why wouldn't it be that way in Israel? Why would the woman speak in Israel, in congregation?
You mean in congregation or?
In the assembly. Why would she not speak in the assembly? Let's see if anybody. They weren't in the temple. They sitting at the door. The temple was for priests. So when you have a culture where the women are used to learning from their husbands, used to being in order, being in subjection, and now they're around Gentiles and the church is in the house where it's the woman's domain, she has more to say, more to do, more, she's more impactful, but she hasn't been trained in the culture of righteousness. So it says, sit in silence, listen to the law, learn, ask questions. And so we don't be looking at one priest, because the priest now, you got one congregation. The priest, this is Hebrew congregation. I never put my brother's names and stuff out there, but this is one of the larger, newer congregations. And they got people removing husbands, and they taking the husband kicked out, but the wife allowed. What kind of crap is that? How you gonna kick out a husband if the wife is allowed? That's the same BS that the assembly that I used to be in tried to do to me. Are you kidding me? You gonna kick me out and tell my wife to come? That's a good place to get the place shot up. And this is why we have boundaries for that reason. And then we have this going on right here. And this is why it was set up. Be in silence. If you got a question, go ask your husband. That way you maintain the order. And what's sad is the assembly that I was talking about, the assembly used to start out where they didn't have a Shabbat every week so that they could practice with the husbands being at home with their family. And you went from that to now you telling people they can't fellowship with other people and a husband can't come but the wife can come? That's outright wickedness.
Verse 13. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression.
All right, so Adam was not deceived. So do we think there's some kind of different genetic makeup in men in Adam than there is in the women in Eve now? We think there's some different genetic mutation of people that we just different now? It's the same chromosomes and in the same X, XX, and XO, which create XX for a girl and XO for a boy. Same thing from back then as now. So it's letting you know that the woman is more susceptible to being tricked. Didn't mean she was less intelligent or less, capable. But no, there was a innate way that she was created of trusting this, where she got to submit to her husband, so she got to trust somebody to the point where she could be deceived. Adam was just disobedient. Disobedience is easy to deal with. You whoop his behind. But when you tricked, you can't, if somebody tricked you, they were more wise than you, outsmarted you.
Verse 15. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety.
And how is she saved in childbearing? Why would she be saved in childbearing? If you include Corinthians. Sanctified and non-sanctified. What does it say about husband and wife? Sanctified and non-sanctified.
The believing wife is sanctified by the believing spouse is sanctified by, the non-believing is sanctified by the believing spouse.
Amen. So she's saved in childbearing because she obviously had a husband. She buried the child, and the husband is covering her. She don't have to go do all that work. She's taking care of that man's bloodline, his seed, his family, his house, so he can go serve Yah. All right, let's move on. Let's go to Deuteronomy, Devarim, chapter 22. And shalom, Brother Darius. Good to see you, family. And shalom, sis Yahanaya. Good to see you as well. And as always, shalom to my brother Yafi Yehuda. Good to see y'all, family. Praise Yah.
One thing I just wanted to mention, maybe it's common knowledge, but I think it's worth mentioning, is just oftentimes when we're speaking about, saying the nature of the man and the woman, I think, we speak about women being more vulnerable, but I think one thing we don't often mention is the fact that women's nature has a benefit and a positive to it too, and that's that they are natural nurturers, and they need to be that emotional so that they can carry out their job and be those nurturers and, you know what I'm saying, and deal with children, you know what I'm saying, whereas a father, men are just naturally going to deal a different way, but the children need that too, you know what I'm saying, they need that side.
Absolutely. You know, if something is putting something in and something is receiving, you want to protect the thing that's receiving because it's receiving and you don't want it to receive anything. You can't put something where it don't belong. If it don't fit, it don't fit. But if something is open, all kind of things can go in there. So, you know, that's spiritually, that's also physically. There's consequences with women. You know, I had to have that conversation with my daughters. You know, my two oldest, once they had their cycles, look, ain't no more wrestling, ain't no more playing, ain't no sleepover, ain't none of that. Them days is over with. Even though you were a kid in the mind, your body is now having consequences. So this is when the covering is supposed to step in and protect that those hedges. So we're at Deuteronomy chapter 22. We're going to read verses 13 through 30. And we're going to talk about the laws regarding marriage. Now, marriage is very serious to the point where he says this is why we being punished. We being punished because YAH is married unto us. So he takes marriage very, very serious to the point where if there's infidelity in a marriage, adultery, which is sleeping with a married woman who is not your wife, or a married woman sleeping with a man that is not her husband, the Most High prescribed death. That's serious. So he takes covenant very serious. You break covenant, it's like death.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her.
All right, so you see those steps. Take a wife, go into her. Those are two different things. You have to take her to be your wife. You have to have the ceremony. You got to have the bride, you know, the dowry, things of that nature. Approval from the father. Then you go into her. That's what seals the marriage. Then after you go into her, then if she's a maid or a virgin, then you have the token of virginity. If she's not a virgin, then then she's just not a virgin. But after each one of those things, whether she's a virgin or not a virgin, with the token of virginity or not, whether it's known or not known, as long as there's no foul play as far as she's supposed to be a virgin, she wasn't, then you go have a wedding feast to celebrate. There wasn't no wedding, marriage ceremony, this, that, nothing. It didn't work like that. It was a wedding feast. You went to the parents, to the father. You got proof. You got approval that it was lawful, that she wasn't married to nobody. Then you paid the price for the dowry. Then you went into her. Then after you went into her, you confirmed in front of everybody, we are now married, and you had a wedding feast. All that other stuff is straight pagan.
If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found not a maid.
I found her not a virgin, right?
Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate.
All right, so they're supposed to present tokens of virginity. So that's the female's hymen. When that hymen breaks, it leaves that little bit of flesh, and he's supposed to bring that to the father and present it as the tokens of virginity. Now, if she didn't have that, he could present it and be like, oh, what's this?
And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hates her. And lo, he has given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not your daughter a maid, virgin, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him.
So they're going to beat this dude. How dare you come and raise up this evil report against your sister? No, it's not your physical sister, but a sister of your nation, your wife, or whoever you're making covenant with. And then now you're destroying her father's name, because it ain't about the girl, it's the father's name. You mean you raising up whores in your house? How that's going to affect the other sisters? So when this happens, this is a great grievous thing. That's why there got to be boundaries. The woman shouldn't have been, if she a virgin, she's supposed to have been protected. She shouldn't be around where somebody could snatch her up or do this, or one of these boys put their fingers where it don't belong and all those type of things. And it could be a problem that could affect her in the future, where she don't know if she around uncles and this. And that's the sad part about it. When you hear these rape and molestations, it's usually uncle or cousin, rarely grandfather, but uncle, cousin, and sadly enough, we even gonna read about it today, father sometimes. If there's boundaries, and I'll just tell you, perfect example is when my ex-wife and I got divorced, and my girls was a little shaken up, and we were splitting between two houses, and the youngest ones, they wanted to sleep in the bed with me. So they used to be all in the house together. Now everything's all torn apart. So the two youngest one, the youngest one, she's now 8, and the second youngest one, she's now 11. So back then they probably was like 7 and 4 or something like that. But anyway, so they're sleeping in the bed. To me, they little babies. But my mom was there, and my mom was like, nah, I'm sorry, she's too old. Yazzie, a little bit older. And I'm like, what you mean? But I'm like, listen, if my mom say it don't look right, that's boundaries. Cool. It don't matter. Boundaries. Done. And that's the safe way to be, because if it don't look right to somebody else, it probably ain't right. Sitting in the bathtub with you a grown man naked in the bathtub with, it ain't right. She can be naked, that's your baby. What you naked for?
Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 19.
And shalom, sis YAH and Naya. She's upstairs. I'll definitely let her know you said shalom. I think she on the YouTube. You can check her out. Tom Sheep.
And they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he has brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Yisrael, and she shall be his wife. He may not put her away all his days.
All right. So they gonna whoop your behind for trying to lie on this woman. You're gonna have to pay money, and I don't care what she do, you can't put her away. All because you try to damage this man, this father, because you damaging the father. All right, but
if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she has wrought folly in Yisrael, to play the whore in her father's house. So shall you put away evil from among you.
All right, so played the whore. So that's interesting. Verse 21. Let me see that word they use for whore. So that's Deuteronomy 22 and what verse?
22 and 21.
All right, interesting. Deuteronomy 22 and 21. All right, so whore. So the word there is zanah, to commit adultery, and less often a simple fornication, rarely of involuntary ravishment, to commit idolatry. So it's interesting. There's a different word for whoredom than there is for prostitution, but they use that same word. So it's interesting. So they cared about it that much that they were going to stone this woman if she played the whore, because we did not want that kind of spirit in our land, because it spreads. It spreads. Birds of a feather flock together is what they say, right? Well, it spreads. So this is why you can see they gonna really chastise this man if they try to bring up a report, because you basically trying to get this woman killed. And what you think that father gonna do?
Verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shall you put away evil from Yisrael.
So this is why it was unrighteous judgment. We're like, we caught this woman in the very act of adultery. Well, where the man? How are you going to stone the woman? You have to be able to face your accuser.
Deuteronomy 22 and verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then you shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he has humbled his neighbor's wife. So shall you put away evil from among you.
But I thought they weren't married. Because they're betrothed. And she's still a virgin. So why are they saying that you have committed adultery?
Hold on, can you repeat that?
It says, it's saying that you shall put this woman away. You're going to stone her the same way it says right here. You stone if a married woman is sleeping with a man that's not her husband. You stoning the man who's not her husband and the married woman. And now here it says if you betrothed and you sleep with her, then you gotta kill both of them. Why is he reconciling this as marriage? But they haven't been married.
The question is, why are they both being stoned, or
Why are they being receiving the same judgment as married people?
Well, I mean, that's basically a covenant, isn't it?
Absolutely. Because there's a covenant here, and the Most High is reconciling a betrothal as somebody being married. So you can't use the excuse, oh, we just betrothed. Nah. Now this is talking about a virgin, so it's being specific to a virgin. But the point here is he's still reconciling that you're married. Even though you're not married, there's a covenant to be married.
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask. So that would make it adultery?
It's being treated like adultery. It's not necessarily adultery because they're not married, but it's being treated with the same judgment because there was a covenant made. He just didn't take that wife. And the stoning to the death is because she's a virgin. You can never get that back.
Right. And one more question. So when it says because she cried not, is that being taken as it must have been consensual?
It's consensual. Her cry is her defense.
Right.
A woman's cry is her defense. If she cries out, that's what keeps her innocent because she did not consent.
Right.
So you can't sit there and be like, let this woman just rape you, and you're just gonna sit here and just be like, I did not want this woman to hop on top of me. Like, you got to, hey, whoa, scream, do something. It's because you can't, silent is consent. You have to speak out against evil. I don't care what it is, whether it's stealing, raping, lying, whatever. You have to speak out. So if she doesn't speak out, that's consent.
Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 25. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die.
All right, so if the woman's crying out, like, hey, then now we know we forced her because she's crying out in the city. That's why women have the loudest screams and shrieks, because that is her defense. She has no physical defense. What is she gonna do? She can't stand up against a man, but her defense is her voice.
I think on average, men have about, I think it's like 45% more upper body strength on average than a woman.
Right.
Verse 26. But unto the damsel you shall do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slays him, even so is this matter.
All right. I'll go through 30.
For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He may not put her away all his days.
All right, so that means if you have a virgin, this is a woman that has not had sex, and you take this woman, and she's not betrothed to somebody else, so you can legally take her, you know, whatever, not rape, but you entice her, then you have to pay the dowry to the father because you did this, 50 shekels, because you did this without getting approval, and you can't put her away all her days because she can never give that gift to her husband because you took it. You took her virginity.
Verse 30, a man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's skirt.
All right. So let's move on. So these laws pertaining to the relationship between a virgin and a man and a woman and a father and the daughter, so forth and so on. You notice it's talking about the father. The father, this. It didn't say the mother. It didn't say go talk to the mother. It's showing you the order. It's the father. The father is the head. He's the protection. So of course the father gonna talk with the mother. The father not gonna go out there and say, yeah, go marry her. He'd be an idiot. He would go home and get assassinated by his wife. He got to talk to his wife, but he's the representation. And this is why there has to be boundaries in place to protect our daughters, protect our women. Let's go to John chapter 4. Even Christ understood this. Christ ain't come here to change this. He knew the law. And he's the creator of all. He still followed it. So who are we to say, oh, no, we're going to do what we want to do, when Christ himself was following the law? Absolutely, sis Evie. Yeah, we are in the grace period. So this is just pertaining to the law. We don't kill people or anything like that because we are in a grace period. We want the same opportunity to repent. We want to give people the same opportunity to repent that we got. And if you're out here murdering people, y'all be the judge of that.
I mean, that's kind of like in the instance when what was it, the woman at the well that came up to YAH was
We're about to read that.
okay,
right. That's what we're about to read. John chapter 4, and we're going to read verses 1 through 30.
When therefore
The Adonai.
the Adonai knew how the Pharisees has heard that YAH had made and baptized more
Actually,
disciples.
no, that would be YAH. When therefore Yahweh knew how the Pharisees had heard that YAH.
Okay. Made and baptized more disciples than Yohanan, though YAH himself baptized not, but his disciples. He left Judea and departed again unto Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then came he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near to the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. YAH therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour. There came a woman of Samaria to draw water. YAH said unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were going away unto the city to buy meat. Then said the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that you, being a Yahudim, ask drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Yahudim have no dealings with the Samaritans.
Okay, so a woman of Samaria, right, is a Samaritan. So a man of America is an American. That don't mean that's your nationality. Let's just keep that in perspective. We have to ask a few more questions to understand what your nationality is.
Yahushua answered and said unto her, If you knew the gift of Elohim, and who it is that says to you, Give me to drink, you would have asked of him, and he would have given you living water.
So he's saying, look, you know, if you knew who I was, you'd be asking me for these salvation-related gifts that I can give you. Go ahead.
The woman said unto him, Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then has you that living water? Are you greater than our father Yaakov, which gave us the well and drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle?
All right, so once he starts saying, are you greater than our father Yaakov? If you saying your father is Yaakov, that means you one of the 12 tribes. This woman an Israelite. Or else you can't say your father Yaakov.
Right.
We're not saying our father George Washington. Hey, nah. We're not, because we in America, he not our father.
Yahushua answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinks of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinks of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up unto everlasting life. The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither come here to draw. Yahushua said unto her, Go, call your husband, and come here.
Why he asking her to call her husband?
Because he's the head.
Because he the head. You asking for salvation. So you say, okay, you want salvation? Keep the commandments. Go home. I'm gonna keep the commandments, husband. No, you not. No, you ain't finna be. We worship the devil. What's wrong with you? So he's not gonna waste his time. Go call your husband, because he has to authorize. I gotta respect that. And furthermore, Yahushua said, I am not sent to, but to who?
The children of Yisrael.
What's the quote?
I'm not sent but to the lost sheep of the children.
Of the house.
Of the house of Yisrael.
Right. Our father, Yaakov, go call your husband. I'm not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Yasharah. Who the lost sheep? Northern tribes. Go ahead.
The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Yahushua said unto her, You have well said, I have no husband.
In other words, she didn't have lawful marriages. Because once you have one lawful marriage, unless that husband dies, how you gonna have another lawful marriage?
Right.
Or if you never had a lawful marriage, you just sleeping with people, nobody taking you, you really say, I ain't really had no husband. That's the game that women like to play. Well, technically, I don't have no husband. So you sitting with a man, you calling your husband, and he calling you his wife, but you ain't technically married, so when it's convenient, oh, I ain't got no husband. He not playing that. Go call your husband. You done had 5 husbands. Come out of here with that foolishness.
For you have had 5 husbands, and he whom you now have is not your husband, and that said you truly.
Yeah, you right. He ain't technically your husband, but you ain't finna mock. Yeah, go call that man that is reconciling. Because let every man have her own husband.
The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet.
All right, you can stop there. So this is where I perceive that you're a prophet. You know, because how you going to know how many people I done slept with? So Yahushua is following this order. And if anybody got more authority than the husband in the house, it's Yahushua. And yet still he's following that order for boundaries. At least this man can walk on water. Yeah, go call your husband for you over here. I already know how you roll. You don't have 5 husbands already? Yeah, okay. We know. And he from the house of David too? Nah, yeah, sis, go get your husband. Even today, it's funny, we went over this. Today is my daughter's birthday. So they had a little cake at my ex-wife's house, whatever. And she had a little boyfriend that she been with for a while on the phone and whatever like that. And I had no problems with his brother. I didn't necessarily like the situation, but I had no problems with the brother. Brother's been nothing but respectful. My daughter's given me nothing but great, awesome report for this brother. So I have no reason to say anything. So I come in the house, you know, she on the phone. I was like, this old boy? She's like, yeah. I said, well, put him on the phone. I said, hello, respect him. Say, you know, it's just respect. I'm married. I moved on. I have my kids, you know, our family, everything. We good. She made a decision. That's her decision. Once she touched somebody, I can't touch her back. No way. Anyway, so she over there. She doing her thing. So I'm respecting, even though he out of order dealing with a divorced woman. This is Babylon. It is what it is. I had to be adults about it. And I still try to figure the weightier matter of the law. The weightier matter was respect him. That she reconciling to this dude, respect him. Let him know, hey, I'm up in here. Yeah, it's my baby mother, but hey, I'm up in here. Hey, how you doing? You know, just respect. Letting people know. All right, we finish that up? Mm-hmm. Let's go to Numbers chapter 5. Numbers chapter 5. Is that phone on?
What do you hear?
No, I'm just... Okay, it's just a thing. All right. Numbers by Midbar, chapter 5. Let's start this at verse 11. There's a reason wives have boundaries, because there's consequences with death. People make mistakes. Things happen. You know, if there was a boundary for one, if a married woman is not floating on those boundaries, it would be difficult for a man to be captured by her beauty and end up trying to force himself, or whatever the case may be. It would limit those things down. So it's not only for her, it's also for the man. You don't know what this man is going through, or how long he been lusting, or he been, you know, or confused, or whatever, or he got a demon. So it's to protect all parties involved. And he under the influence, and then you wake up in the morning like, oh my, what have I done? Yeah, please forgive. It's too late, because I'm coming for you. That husband is coming for you. There's nothing you can give this man to stop this man from coming from you. So that's to protect.
No, I was going to say, what the Proverbs say, the wrath of a man is, jealousy is the wrath of a man, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And just real quick, jealousy isn't being envious, but it's more of a protective instinct, from what I understand Hebraically.
Right, exactly. That's if it says that our God is a jealous Elohim, then what his children gonna be? Right. Liberal? Nah, we finna come cut their head off messing with our root. And that's why, like, when a married woman will proposition me, you want to see anger? How dare you? How dare you? Okay, Yafi Yehuda, you said clarify him being out of order because she is a divorcee. Technically, a woman can only be divorced, can only remarry when that husband is dead. Now, if the husband, I think this is more in the New, I have to go back over in the New Testament, when the husband is putting away because he just don't want her or whatever like that, then that woman can remarry under that circumstance. But typically, like Yahweh Shai said, that is forever. It's supposed to be forever. Now, realistically, now that we are in a Babylonian society and, you know, we've been, ain't no more, rarely any virgins, it's just a lot of, we're in grace. So technically you're not supposed to, but technically you're supposed to take a virgin. So you can play that game all you want. You do the best you can. You're not supposed to take a woman who is in rebellion to her husband. And that's, in other words, she's leaving her husband, because a woman can't divorce a man. A man has to write a bill of divorcement. So if the woman is just leaving, she's in rebellion, you ain't supposed to touch her. But again, That's Hebrew culture. We're here in Babylon. We are to do the best that we can to follow righteousness, to try to do the right thing. So technically, the brother that was dealing with my ex-wife, because I didn't consent to that. I didn't want my family to split up, but I had to go with it because she's gone. She's gonna do what she got to do. So in that situation, she's supposed to remain unmarried because I did not consent to any of this stuff. But in the situation where I'm just doing this, or I'm being adulterous and doing all kind of crazy stuff, and I put her away because I don't just want to be with her, then she can be with somebody else under that point. So again, those are very sticky subjects, and you definitely want to pray to the Father for guidance in dealing with that, because it's just not apples to apples anymore. So you just want to do your best to use the law as your foundation, and then use the Holy Spirit and wisdom and liberty to make the proper decision. So I don't want to make a blanket statement, because if that's the case, many of us wouldn't be able to marry certain women, because it's just things have changed.
Right. I got a quick question.
Go ahead, brother.
What do you think the reason for that being, for that being like that law? I mean, not law, but for it being, for you not being able to marry a divorced woman. Mm-hmm. What would be the reason for having that, like, put in place? Right. That boundary put in place.
YAH said, because he who put man and woman together put them together forever. It's not his will that should split. He's covenant. Right. Imagine if y'all broke covenant with us and said, you ain't gonna be my wife no more because you played a whore. Right. We'd be messed up. Right. So it's mercy unto that woman to allow her an opportunity to repent because she's in danger of hellfire. So you were supposed to be patient. So he gave time for separation, for her to remain separated him, so that they could come back together. Just like we were separated from the land, and the goal was for us to come back. It wasn't supposed to be forever. It's not going to be forever. So that's how man and woman was made, and this is according to Christ. But he said he allowed for divorce because of the hardness of man's heart. So the hardness of man's heart, what we used to do is play those law games. Well, I'm just going to put her over here and neglect the crap out of her, talk to her, beat on her, do all kind of things, till she run to another man and commit adultery, and I can kill both of them. Now go get me a new wife. Right. So Yah wasn't playing that. So he said, to protect my daughters, now write her a bill of divorcement. Let her go about her way. Since you don't like her, you don't want to deal with her, write her a bill of divorcement, and she go be somebody else's wife. But it was never intended, according to his words. From the beginning, it was never intended so.
Numbers chapter 5.
And the reason for that law not being kept is why we got 50 different baby daddies, and the man got 6 baby mamas, and he ain't with none of them. Ain't no virgins beyond the age of 18 anymore. Rarely. Right. Because of this, because the father's not protecting the daughters, the men can just sleep with a woman, cut her off, send her about her way. The woman can divorce her husband, which she couldn't marry her husband. So how's she going to divorce her husband? Right. It don't make any sense. So this is just a backwards culture. It's confusion.
So you can see kind of why it was put in place.
Right. Absolutely. It's to protect us. To stop all this whoredom. So there'd be no whoredom. We used to stone women. Mm-hmm. Stone men for that. So it was that serious, because this is what it would result in. Right. The destruction of our family. Numbers, Bamidbar, chapter 5. And we're going to start this at verse 11. And this is, the boundaries are in place to avoid this situation right here. Yeah, verse 11, Numbers 5.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, If any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the man.
All right, so The man knows. You know when your woman has been touched. You know.
Right.
You don't want to believe it. You know your pride, but you know. You know. This is your house. It's your space. You know. So when that happens, if you didn't catch her in the very act, you can't just go kill her and put her away and do all kinds of things because you feel like this. Because she could be. Because 99 out of 100 women, 99 could be guilty of adultery. And you put away that one innocent woman, or you kill that one innocent woman, it wasn't worth letting go 99 guilty women. It's not worth it. So YAH is not going to allow you to do the judgment of death without 2 or 3 witnesses to confirm the matter. But YAH would not be mocked, because men can be slick and women can be slick. Because if the woman getting away with it is because the man's slick and the woman's slick. So it ain't just a slick woman, it's 2 slick people.
Verse 14. And the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled. Or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled, then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her an offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance.
All right, so usually you have to pour oil on it. You know what I'm saying? But you're not putting no oil, no frankincense. This ain't no holy offering. This is a bad thing. This is jealousy. So the Most High would not be mocked. You ain't finna have no jealous husband that every time you go out the door, he want to accuse you of doing something defiled and bring you before the priest and embarrass you and put you through all this. So he put a price on it. Oh, okay. You might want to think about that. You're gonna be broke. You got a beautiful woman. It is what it is. Go ahead.
Verse 16, and the priest shall bring her near and set her before YAH.
All right, so the priest is bringing her near. This is not typical. This woman ain't supposed to be near the priest because she outside the temple. What's she doing near the priest? So this is something unorthodox. Keep going.
And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it into the water. And the priest shall set the woman before YAH and uncover the woman's head.
Oh, uncover the woman's head. Why would he be uncovering the woman's head?
Because she would have had a cover on.
She would have had a covering. So that shows you how wives dress. They have coverings on their heads. And what's the significance of uncovering the woman's head?
A cover getting took away?
He's removing the covering. Absolutely. Nah. We gonna remove this covering and you gonna deal with these angels that are now finna judge this matter. That's why I said cover your head. Why the woman had hair and an extra cover to keep these spirits away. Well, we're uncovering and allow them angels to fight over this. The holy angel to stand and prevent the wicked angel. Wicked angel, ooh, that head uncovered. Let's go. Come on. It's open. The doors is open. Come on. And the holy angels is either whoa, you can't. This is a holy vessel. This is Kodesh Ishar right here. Ain't nothing. Matter of fact, I wasn't even gonna be around here, but I'm here now because there's got to be a reward for her now versus punishment. Go ahead. Start at 18 again.
And the priest shall set the woman before YAH and uncover the woman's head and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering, and the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causes the curse. And the priest shall charge her by an oath and say unto the woman, if no man have lain with you, and if you have not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of your husband, be you free from this bitter water that causes the curse. But if you have gone aside to another instead of your husband, and if you be defiled, and some man have lain with you beside your husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, Yah make you a curse and an oath among your people when Yahweh does make your thigh to rot and your belly to swell.
All right, so if the woman was lying, Yah would not be mocked. Her belly finna swell, she finna have a whole big old belly, and her thigh finna rot, or her loin area, which means her vaginal area is finna stink. It's finna have issues. Where it just, whew, what's that stench? Where no man gonna even want to go down there. She might have got gonorrhea or whatever, kind of situation would have came about that. Gastrointestinal problems, all kind of things. So this is why that covering had to be removed, because she had to do an oath. She had to agree. And when we go into Numbers 30 next, we'll see why the husband had to be moved out the way. And why that covering had to be moved in order for her to do this oath.
And this water that causes the curse shall go into your bowels, and to make your belly to swell and your thigh to rot. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and he shall blot them out with the bitter water. And he shall cause the woman to drink the bitter water that causes the curse, and the water that causes the curse, and the water that causes the curse shall enter into her and become bitter. Then the priest shall take the jealousy offering out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before Yah, and offer it upon the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the offering, even the memorial thereof, and burn it upon the altar, and afterward shall cause the woman to drink the water. And when he has made her to drink the water, then it shall come to pass, that if she be defiled, and have done trespass against her husband, that the water that causes the curse shall enter into her, and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh shall rot, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, but be clean, then she shall be free, and shall conceive seed.
All right, so the judgment, if she was an adulterer, is she was finna have a stench, and her stomach was finna swell up. So this is what happens when women commit adultery. And if the woman be not defiled, right, she was finna conceive seed. So it was finna be a blessing if she didn't do anything wrong. But the man had to pay that price regardless of whether she was right or wrong. Go ahead.
This is the law of jealousies, when a wife goes aside to another instead of her husband and is defiled. Or when the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before Yah, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. Then shall the man be guiltless from iniquity, and this woman shall bear her iniquity.
All right. So these things are boundaries are put in place where the woman, there should be no reason. If the woman is being covered and protected and she's walking in the right capacity, there'd be no reason to think that she did something. But if she's not following boundaries, it's just leaving openness for the devil to play with the man's mind or the devil to play with the woman's mind. That's why there's boundaries on both sides. A man, especially a married man, ain't supposed to be interacting with women like that, hanging around like he's single and being in these compromising positions, because that's putting jealousy in his wife's heart. That's not right. She cause her to have an evil eye against her sister. So you don't operate in that kind of manner.
Two things. Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So these boundaries are for both parties involved. It ain't just to protect the man and his investment, his woman. No, it's for protect our families.
Right.
You had something?
Yeah, I was just going to say two things that came to my mind is, can't recall the exact verse, but I know it's in the New Testament about avoid all appearance of evil. I think it's in Corinthians.
Right.
And also, might be Thessalonians. Avoid all appearance of evil, but also in Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, I think it's chapter 9, talks about sitting out alone with another man's wife.
Right, not looking at the eyelids of a woman, all these different things, because all women beautiful. She just might be regularly just looking at you, and you swearing she in love with you, because she just so beautiful. My wife look at me sometimes, man, I'll be like, man, you know,
I had this same.
It's a problem, man. All women are beautiful, man, and they don't even try. So that's why, our women will take pictures and do certain things or look a certain way, and they're not necessarily trying to do something. Mm-hmm. But if you making me look at you like what you think the next man looking at, That's just common sense. So this is why we have boundaries. But when you don't care and it's all about you and, you know, you want the attention, then you don't care. But are you not considering your brother? Your brother who's a single brother looking at a married woman, not knowing she's married or knows she's married, but like has to fight because you're naked before him? That's not right. It goes the same thing with men. Right. You sitting around here, you around all these single women that need husbands, and you sitting here with your muscle shirt on, you know, doing sit-ups in front of them and all kinds of, like, come on. Listen, bro. Stop it, bro. Cover yourself up, man, around the sisters. Don't be looking at them with them same looks and all that type of stuff. Don't do that. You know what you're doing. It's boundaries, man. It's just respect, man. All right, did we finish that up?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to, we can skip Numbers chapter 30, but Numbers 30 goes in that the husband or the father has the right to override the oath that a woman makes that binds her soul. Doesn't mean, hey, I'm gonna pay you $10 for this, and then, oh, you told him $10? Oh, that's way too much. Give it back. No, that's not binding your soul. She says, I'm going to go ahead and agree to give you this kidney. I'm going to go agree to work for you. Now my body is bound to something. Or I'm going to pay you this money, and if I don't, you can have me as slavery for 10 years. You can't do that. The father or the husband has the right to say, no, she belongs to me. You can't take her whole body and she be with you. No. So this is why the husband had to put her in front of the priest and allow her covering to be removed, because he's saying, look, I can't, because a man would just be jealous and just want to call her bluff, and then the last minute, no, I don't agree to this oath. Nah, you done called it. You brought all this up, and you think that she's this. Well, if she is, she finna get the business. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to Genesis chapter 19. Bereshit chapter 19. Goes back to these boundaries. And I don't think it's really necessary for us to go read all the laws pertaining to who you can sleep with and who you can't sleep. We know obviously you can't sleep with your kids, your mom, your relatives, your brother's wife, you know, all those type of things. Those boundaries are in place. So if you can't sleep with these people lawfully, then the boundaries of like dealing with a married woman is in place. Like the boundaries of dealing with a virgin who's betrothed are in place. The same way like you would deal with your cousin, your aunt, not your cousin, excuse me, your brother, your sisters, your brother's wife, all those. It's the same principle. You apply that same boundary because it's unlawful for any interaction. So there's a boundary there. Bereshit chapter 19, and we're going to read 30 through 38. We're going to see when you don't follow these boundaries, what could happen.
And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him. For he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters.
That's straight carnality. You had 2 angels deliver you out of a place. Tell you, here's where you're going to go to safety. And you're going to say, you're going to trust your eyes over the Father? That doesn't make any sense. You trust the Father. The Father tell you, this is where your safety is, go. But that's what we do. The Father say, don't do this. Follow this boundary. Don't go here. Go here. And we feel like, nah, I think I'm safer if I do this. And usually that's going to involve some problems.
That was translated so hilarious to me. Verse 18, it says, a lot said unto the angels, it said, oh, not so.
Right. All right.
I think it said something different in Hebrew, but just the way it was translated. It was awful.
Escape to the mountain, lest you be consumed. Lot said, oh, no, not so, my master. What? I just told you this place was going to be flamed.
Right.
It got flamed, and I picked you up and flew you out of here. Then you going to sit here and argue with me while you wings is flying you and you just floating around out the city. Nah, drop me. I think I want to go over there. Bruh, the gall of our people, bro. Go ahead.
So verse 31, and the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all of the earth.
So this is what happens when you jump to conclusions. He just burned one city. That wasn't everybody. But they figured, oh, it's the end of the world because one city burned.
Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father.
Ooh. Come, let us make our father drink wine. So apparently, when he drinks wine, he gonna screw anything. Because if you worried about there ain't no women around or nothing like that, but then all of a sudden, in the middle of your sleep, 2 women, there's only your daughters there.
Sorry.
All right, go ahead.
Come, let us make our father. It was like these girls, their minds must have been messed up from Sodom and Gomorrah too.
Absolutely, because there's a spirit of whoredom and abomination there. You can't be amongst that and comfortable there without it leaking on you. That's like you being comfortable in America with all this wickedness. That means it's part of you. If you comfortable here, it's part of you. And I used to be comfortable here. Like, where else would I go? Now, we like, man, I can't stand this place, man.
Verse 33. They made their father drink wine that night. The firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose.
Okay, so I just don't understand how that happened. You got so drunk off wine that you didn't, first of all, how is anything functioning if you that drunk? Because I know when I get under the influence to that point where I don't know what the hell going on, ain't nothing going on. That's just me. But apparently he the opposite. When he get drunk, anything can go on. He not even gonna know she came in or left, but something else awoke. I don't know. That just seems kind of strange to me.
And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said unto the younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go you in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father.
So he got so drunk that he didn't know when, she got up or when she left. And he got drunk again the next day? Now it sounds like, man, I got drunk ahead of time of my life. And then the next day he got drunk again. Just don't make sense to me.
And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him. And he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. The firstborn bare a son and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bare a son and called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day.
So that's funny. And then the guy named Ben-Ami, that's the real name for Ammon. Now these are the children of incest. That's why it says the Ammonite and the Moabite will never enter into the congregation of Israel, because you're incest children. You're unlawful seed. It will never go. So it didn't mean, because you were a father was the one thing and your mother was another, you couldn't come in. No, that's not what that was. What it was is talking about children of incest. This is a seed that shouldn't be here. All right, so this is why you have these boundaries for things like this under these extreme circumstances. This is why my mother was saying, hey, even though there was little babies, nah, they're a little too old. It's just boundaries. Stay over here. Now, it hurt my heart because I'm like, no, these are my babies. But boundaries. I'm not going to question boundaries. So, all right, let's move on. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22. And I just want to look at something real quick. Exodus chapter 22, and we're going to read verses 16 through 17.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
All right. So if a man entice a maid that is not engaged and he lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. So endow her to be his wife means he got to pay the dowry. He got to pay money. You can't just take that woman because she didn't have nobody that was with her. and think that, okay, yeah, she my wife. No, you're going to have to take her to be your wife, and you're going to have to pay that dowry.
If her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins.
All right, so if the father refused to give her unto him, you still got to pay the dowry of virgins. You know why? Because he can't sell that. You can't give her back. So he could have said, no, I've been with this is my brother right here. He got a son. He a good brother. They've been growing up together. They've been training together. They love each other. We just waiting him for get old enough so he can take over. And we're going to join our families and increase our tribe. And here you come in here, Mr. Slick Talk, and then now you don't talk the draws off my daughter when she's out there feeding the camels. Nah, you finna pay. This finna be a problem. We almost wiped out a whole, we actually wiped out a whole bloodline of people. What was it, Judah and Simeon? Wiped out a whole bloodline of people because they slept with Diana. Took his virgin sister.
Is this the verse they used to justify the sex as marriage doctrine? Verse 16?
Yeah, because they say if a man entice a maid that's not betrothed, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. So they're saying, yeah, you got to marry her because you had sex with her. But this is talking about a virgin.
All right.
It's talking about a virgin. If you go back and read it, it says virgin.
All right. But even then, that's not guaranteed because the next verse.
Right, because the father got to agree. So you can't, that ain't automatically your wife. If that was the case, then why would YAH say you done had 5 husbands and this one's not your husband? So there obviously has to be more than just having sex. You're going to have to go ahead and have a covenant. That's like you get a blank piece of paper and just sign it. Like this. Shh. Here. What's on the paper? Well, we sealed the what's the covenant? To be determined. Nah, they don't work that way. Don't work that way. You write down what you're agreeing to, then you sign it. If you go out backward, you go backwards. Okay, we sealed that covenant. I went backwards myself. I ain't gonna lie. Then you make sure you get that covenant. You go fix that covenant and fix it. Don't just seal the covenant. Actually make the covenant. Do that, then have your feast to let everybody know everything was done. They don't got to know the business or what order it was done. We all make mistakes, not all. Some of us, less of us like me, will have made mistakes like that. But you can fix it. Do it the right way. The best thing is to do it the proper way. But if you didn't do it the proper way, don't increase the sin by just staying in the wickedness. Repent and do it the right way. All right, so let's go to conclusion. Let's go to Matthew chapter 5. So this dowry and all this money was protection. You couldn't be broke coming around here trying to marry my daughter. A virgin was worthy to be taken. So it's protected, it's coveted. You're taking a wife that you don't got a whole bunch of soul ties and a whole bunch of spirits you got to overcome, and it goes both ways. The man wasn't supposed to be with a bunch of women and all. He's supposed to be pure too. So she's not dealing with all those previous soul ties. Look at what Yaakov went through. You know what I'm saying? Because he had this soul tie with Rebecca and his wife Leah. She couldn't win favor. He got a soul tie. That's why it's not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to do things in proper order. You don't take a woman that you didn't really want to take, and then go take the woman you want to take because you can have multiple wives. I actually had a brother actually tell me that. A brother actually was talking to me, considering that. Look, I'm going to take this one. I don't really like her, but she's cool. And then I'm going to take this other woman. She don't like me, but I like her. She's sexy. I'm glad the brother listened to me because it worked. The brother listened to me and it worked out for him. And he got his wife and kids and everything. So praise y'all. Matthew chapter 5. And we're going to read verses 27 through 32 for the conclusion.
You have heard that it was said by them of old time, you shall not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looks on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart.
All right, so he's committed adultery already in his heart because you looking at her to lust, you already imagining all these things. So you've already planted the seed that once the opportunity comes, it's going to be very easy for you to fall. So YAH is like, no, don't even look at a woman to lust after her like that. Because this could be a married woman, or it could be literally a woman engaged to be married, or it could be somebody else's future wife, and now you eye banging her and putting her in all these uncomfortable situations, and now it's disrespect to that husband or that future husband that now when they get married, you still have this spiritual or psychological tie to this woman you've been lusting after and can't deal with the fact that she married. And I've been seeing that before. People that kind of lusting after my wife and kind of want that situation, but they can't really let go of it because they was already lusting it. And now that this marriage and everything, it's hard for them to let go. But it ain't going to be hard for me to let go of them hands, bro. I'll tell you that much. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 29. And if your right eye offend you, pluck it out and cast it from you.
And if you messing with my wife, your right eye is going to offend you. Or your left eye, because I'm right-handed. Go ahead.
For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into hell.
So he's saying, listen, if you can't stop looking at these women, it's better that you pluck your eye out. If you can't stop touching these women, it's better you cut your hand off. Because those things will lead you to the grave. Because if that man don't kill you, disease will kill you, or YAH gonna kill you, because he don't play with covenants. He didn't play with his covenant. That's why judgment is coming to these nations right now. And he didn't play with other people's covenant. He don't play with that.
And if your right hand offend you, cut it off and cast it from you. For it is profitable for you that one of your members should perish, and not that your whole body should be cast into hell.
And which member you think they talking about is better than that perish? Go ahead.
It has been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement.
Okay, it has been said. Who said that? Moshe said that. Go ahead.
But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causes her to commit adultery.
All right, now those words are like the same words. Fornication, adultery, those are the same words. You can't fornicate if you married. You committed adultery. Go ahead.
Causes her to commit adultery, and whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commits adultery.
All right, so Brother Yafi, this is what it's talking about here. Whosoever shall marry her that is divorced commits adultery, because she's still reconciled. Go ahead. Okay, now we finished that. So technically she's still reconciled to the husband because it was meant for them to be together forever. All right, so again, we are in strange circumstances. You got some people who were raped. Didn't even have a chance to have virginity. You had some people that, and that's sad. A lot of our women never even had a chance to have a real virginity. It was raped. You know what I'm saying? Then you have other people that, just been in such horrible relationships with no father, all kind of different situations, man. So these things are to protect, these laws and these boundaries are to protect the sons and to protect the daughters. So ultimately treat people the way you want to be treated. You want to look at, and this is what helped me, because prior to this walk, and I can say comfortably, on camera, I have never cheated on my wife at the time or my current wife since being in this word. And that's a huge, huge, huge win for me, because prior to that, being in the word, I had never been in a relationship that I didn't cheat. Never. Not with maybe my first love, because she broke my heart. I didn't get a chance to cheat. But other than that, no, I never did. So what changed my perspective is when I started having daughters. When I started having daughters, and I know Will understand, you start seeing things different. I mean, that's what they look like this. So now I started to look at women differently. I started to look, man, that's my sister. That's somebody's daughter, man. If somebody did that to my daughter, I'd kill him. I'd kill him and everybody that was around, that even witnessed. And of course, I'm just exaggerating. I'm not a murderer. But that's the feeling. So it's like when I'm dealing with a woman or I'm looking at a woman, even at this point, it's been really just looking, because I've been married. I haven't had a chance to really be single. I consider that. That's somebody's daughter. You know what I'm saying? That's somebody's child. That's somebody's future wife. I'd rather look at her like a sister. But that's hard when you're naked walking around here. I'm a human being.
Right.
So if a man like me who fears Yah has to be, oh my God, please, what's wrong with this woman? What you think the average dude who's hungry, it says a man will not hate a poor person that steals bread? He's poor, he's hungry. But he's gonna pay sevenfold when he get caught. But if you got and you just still lusting after these women, Most High is not the same. So consider these people, consider your brothers, consider your sisters, consider that these laws are in place and wasn't supposed to be no divorce. So we add to divorce. I can't complain and say, oh, you know, my ex-wife, she ran and did it. How many women I ran through? That probably created divorces for all these other people because of wickedness I did. So I got to take those lumps. I got to take those hurts. And I never thought about that in it. Never thought about that in it. But when you look, wow, the wicked things, the craftiness and subtlety that you did affected those women. How many of them women still got soul ties to you? Still can't get you out of their head. Sleeping with their husband thinking of you and the things you did. It should never have been so. That's why she ain't supposed to go nowhere else. Right. You ain't supposed to be taking a woman that you ain't going to keep forever. These boundaries are in place. So we didn't understand that. My parents at least couldn't explain that. They could just say, don't do that. It's not right. Yeah, okay, whatever. Nah, we can at least explain to you so that you can know what you're doing and you can explain that to your children so that they have a better chance of making less mistakes. That's all. So that's all we're going to do today. I hope we covered everything. Sis Steph, was there anything, or Brother Lucas, was there anything boundary-wise, if y'all still there, that we needed to cover, that, you know, you may have come across, or, you know, you're being asked questions about? Let me know. If anybody has any questions, you know, anything regarding divorce or lawful, unlawful, give y'all a few seconds if anybody has any questions.
You know this culture is wicked.
Praise y'all. You said what now?
I was gonna say, you know this culture is wicked when you think about like the work situation and the fact that people actually go to work and start calling people they work husbands and work wives and stuff.
Right. All right, don't get your work husband arm broken, man.
Right.
That man gotta go home to his wife.
Right.
Stop it. And they always be men that got married too.
And the sad thing is
boundaries.
Right. Is that this whole culture is trying to basically get rid of any differences between men and women, and so it don't look at the fact that you putting these men and women together where they working side by side for hours a day. Some of these people are spending more time with these random men or women than they are their own spouse. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a toxic environment, really.
Right.
I got one question. I got a question about soul ties.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna piggyback off what Wesley said. You can get a soul tie from just spending time with somebody, right? Or you have.
You fall in love by spending time, right? So sex is the soul aspect. Soul is nefesh, which is flesh.
Okay.
So you can, but it ain't gonna be like when you sleep with somebody. Right. Like that woman, she like you and everything, and she cool, she have that crush, but you get in her, she crazy.
Right.
That's that soul tie.
You open up a whole new.
It's a whole, because a woman she's letting in that spirit, your spirit. They receive. That's why they gotta be protected. Right. Because if you have a cup, anything you pour in there is gonna go in there. Mm-hmm. It's open. So that's why you gotta put a cover on that cup if you don't want anything to go in there. Right. So it's the same thing with their hearts. Their hearts are wide open. They're emotional, they're tender, they're supposed to be protected, they're supposed to be soft so something can penetrate. We are supposed to be hard so we can penetrate. So there's a difference. So there's a different, one is supposed to protect, the other one is supposed to cover. Mm-hmm. And that's why you gotta be careful with, even as men, being around women. Like, I just keep distance. Like, it's to the point where in this ministry, like even the sisters, even some of these sisters that are not even married on here will tell you, I stay distance from y'all. Right. Not because I don't think women are important or whatever. It's because my experience as a young priest. It's just like every time I try to help a woman out, all of a sudden she's trying to be a second wife. Mm-hmm. So not to say any of the Israelite gathering women are doing that, because I haven't had any problem with any of the women. Right. Usually most of them have husbands, because this is kind of a marriage type ministry. But what will happen is it's better to put boundaries. I have a wife. Mm-hmm. So if you need to talk to me about anything, if it's not law, my wife is suited to deal with that. And if she don't know the answer, guess what? She gonna get it from me. Right. So you got it. But that's boundaries. That's to keep boundaries. But if I have to step in and I got to do something for a woman and help her in regards, I'm by all means. If I got to take a phone call, by all means. But here go the boundaries. Yeah, my wife is here with me. We here together because this is a team. You don't need just a male perspective. You need a male and a female perspective. And my wife ain't on the phone with no men, talking to no men, or dealing with no men in this regards. Right. Her husband is there. That's boundaries. Now you're talking about business. It is what it is. You got to do business, man, woman, female. Right. But within that, there's boundaries. All right. So we had a couple other questions. Right? You see a lot of social media problem. Mm-hmm. And this is the problem. You know, again, you shouldn't have to make laws pertaining to some things, but here's some good basis to start with. If you are on Facebook, you are married, and a sister, married man, woman, whatever, tries to add you, I don't assume, this person tries to sleep with me. Mm-hmm. But see if the person is married or not. Right. If the person is married, then add both of them. If you can accept, if you're see my type of realm, you know, I'm open to everybody. I'm trying to be to everybody. Right. So if I see sis adds me, I'm going to her page before I add her. I'm looking to see if she got a husband. Not because I'm trying to entertain her, but I just want to know the order. You got a husband? Cool. I'm going to accept you, and I'm going to add your husband. Right. That's respect. Mm-hmm. I'm not inboxing no sisters. Right. No. For what? What I need to inbox you for? What you inboxing me for? Now, I'm different. I'm a priest, so you got questions. Understand them. But other than that, inboxing me personally, hey, how you doing? No, don't no sisters inbox me like that. And if you do, they've done it, it's something's wrong. Right. Don't do that. You can be on a post, hey, how you doing? Everything good? Cool. Everybody can see it. Right. Oh, hey, what's up, Shalom, sis? You know, how your husband doing? How the family doing? Or if you're single, whatever. How the kids do? Whatever. But that's out in the open. There's no appearance of evil, like what you said. Right. So certain things, and if you a man, you better not be inboxing no sister, checking up how you doing, sis, and all. Ask her husband how she doing. How your wife doing, Ak? That's what real men do. Hey, Ak, how you doing? The next question, how your wife doing? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be, I'm this man asking about my... I'm going to be like, yo, I appreciate you love me, bro. You thinking about me and my wife. Mm-hmm. Order. Respect. You know what I'm saying? And don't be all looking at married women's pictures. Right. And married women, what you got all these pictures up before anyways? And this is a problem. And look, ain't nobody perfect. So I'm not saying throwing people under the bus, but we know we need to work on these things.
We just read that if a woman is married and she's on social media and she's not dressing modestly, right, then it's gonna kind of, I ain't gonna say force people to commit adultery, but
set stumbling blocks,
right,
for people to random people to scroll through and look. Everybody ain't like us, where we trying to keep the law. Right. So people before they even born to understand the law already slipping into damnation, not even knowing it. Right. Just looking. So these things are in place to help protect the brother and the sister, the husband and the wife. But because Greeks are naked, and this is a Greek culture, and they want fornication, and that's how they worship their gods. And they holy days would involve sleeping with other people's wives and wife swapping and all. They even got a program called Wife Swap.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's normal now in this culture. So we think it's okay because everybody doing it. But the meanwhile, we wonder why we having all these problems. Why we unhappy. Why we getting in trouble. Why we cheating on each other and getting cheated on. Keep opening the door for these things.
So I got a question, and I think maybe there might be people who are in this situation or a similar situation, but I think a lot of us are coming into this walk, and obviously a lot of us have had relationships or even marriages, and so there are some people who have come into this walk and they may have a baby dad or a baby mama, and these people, you know what I'm saying, are obviously not part of the walk. They're not, you know, concerned about the walk. But for the people who have come into this walk and they still have to deal with, say, their baby mama or their baby dad, how do you go about dealing with that type of situation when there is a baby's mom involved or a baby's father, or how do you go about creating boundaries when, especially when these people aren't aware of what's, you know,
Like that. That's how you create that boundary. No, I'm playing. No, I'm not playing, but no, for real. With situations like that, you can't overstep your boundary. Like the dude that's with my ex-wife, he can never overstep my. I don't give a damn who you, whatever.
Right.
Now concerning her, if you marry her, whatever, then you know, legally, and I would even respect that.
Right.
Whatever. I would put an extra layer, even though it's a layer, I really wouldn't be much of a difference because I treat her like that anyways because she's with somebody, you know, and also respect for my ex-wife, respect for my wife, so she feels comfortable, even the parents are evil, so like they talk, they got phone numbers, she look through text, she see all interact, ain't nothing there, that's for her own peace of mind, you know what I'm saying? But when dealing with a man that don't care, then you have to set the boundaries with your wife because you can't control that man. You have to set the boundaries with your wife or your betrothed wife and say, listen, these are the boundaries to protect you and to protect him. Ain't supposed to be no interaction alone. Ain't supposed to be no interaction that don't involve the children. And anything interaction that you have to have with him that's not for the basic everyday interaction, then you need to let me know. You know, depending on how petty it is, it may be before or after.
Right.
You know, and you just work on that relationship to have the proper boundaries. But, you know, I always talk to the brothers. You know, that's what the brother did to me. He came right up to me and shook my hand the first day. It made me have peace in my heart. I was like, okay, at least I don't trust him,
Right.
but at least he's a stand-up man. At least had enough to come talk to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I trust me, I wasn't given a very approaching demeanor. And he's like, look, it is what it is. I'm no threat. You know, I'm
respectable.
Right. So, you know, I don't like that situation because my kids, I respect him. So that killed anything. So the fact that he came up to me, that's what you should do. You should come up to him and let him know, hey, this is what's going on. Just want to let you know, this is my intentions with your ex-wife or whatever.
Right.
And, you know, y'all are a thing of the past, but I still have respect because you're the father of her children. Mm-hmm. If you was an ex-boyfriend, I wouldn't be talking to you, but you're the father of children. Oh. So I love your children too. So that means I got to have love for you. You're their father. So if you need anything from me, let me know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I would appreciate if you respect my boundaries, you know, the same way you would want, you know, somebody to respect boundaries with your woman. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm assuming you got a woman. I'm going to say with your wife, your woman, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you try the spirit by the spirit. That's all you can do. And most men, you know what I'm saying, they gonna receive it.
What if it's not received, bro?
If it's not received, then you deal with it like any other threat that's not received. You have to pray about it and deal with it as you deal with it. But mainly, the real importance is your woman. It's always about, I never check the bros unless he overstepping the boundary. It's always the woman. You check the woman. It's your woman you need to talk to. The man is just out of respecting because he has a tie with her that you can't break no matter what. You can't go kill this man. That's the father of this of your children. You hurting your kids. So you can't do that. So you want to deal with things the right way and deal with it in wisdom. It says when a man's ways is right, he has peace even with his enemies. So if he's an enemy, you have peace if your ways is right. If your ways is right, you won't have an enemy. So you have peace either way.
Okay. Appreciate it.
All right. Praise y'all. But these are tough situations, but you just put it in the Father's hand and just try to do the right thing and he'll work out the rest, man. Because this ain't new or strange situations. All of us are having to deal with, even my wife has to deal with 4 kids, an ex-wife and all, and it was difficult for her to overcome those things, the mother-in-law, and she had church, the assembly, half of the assembly left, the other half of the assembly stayed. Someone wanted to hold on to my ex-wife and wanted to take her side, and then others, so she had to step in. It was very hard. So you got to understand that's very difficult, to deal with. So just want to have compassion and understand that, that's your brother too. You know what I'm saying? Your brother, right?
What?
The brother, right? It's a brother. The baby's father's a brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a brother because you look at the kids. He might not be your brother, but you're a brother, right? Shots fired. Right. But yeah, you still got to consider even when you really dislike somebody, if it's of your nation, it has to be dealt with a certain way, because at the end of the day, that's still your nation. You know what I'm saying? You want to be righteous to anybody, don't get me wrong, but your nation, you give an extra layer of compassion and mercy, because that's your nation. You want him to have an opportunity to repent and benefit the nation.
Okay.
All right, that's all we're going to do. Let's go ahead and close in the prayer. If I've said anything of truth, all praise to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. If I said anything of error, let it be on me. That's of us. Brother West, can you close us out, please?
Our Father Yah, Elohim of Abraham, Yishak, and Yaakov, we thank you, Father Yah, for waking us up and giving us your word, Father Yah. We pray, Father Yah, that the word that went out tonight, Father Yah, reached to whom you wanted it to, Father Yah, and we pray that it was edifying for the viewers, Father Yah. We pray that the word that went out, Father Yah, that we can not just learn and intellectually agree with these principles and about boundaries and whatnot, but that we can actually put these into practice, Father Yah, so that we can start protecting one another and just acting righteously, Father Yah, because we know that your protection comes with doing your word, Father Yah, and we know that your word and your Torah is for our own good, Father Yah, for our protection, and not just for our protection, but so that we can thrive, Father Yah. For you said that whomever does your word, we shall even live in them, Father Yah. So we thank you, Father Yah, and we ask you, Father Yah, that we can correctly set boundaries in our own lives, Father Yah, and we're living amongst such confusion, Father Yah, confusion around us, confusion even within our own hearts, Father Yah, but we pray that your word can be the shining light that just clears out all that darkness, Father Yah, so that we can walk upright, Father Yah, and truly do things the correct way, Father Yah. And we ask you, Father Yah, help us not to be resistant to your word, Father Yah, but help us to truly accept your word, Father Yah, and not fight against it, Father Yah, but to strengthen ourselves in your word, Father Yah. Thank you, Father Yah. Yahshua HaMashiach's holy mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.